3 years ago, Telifís Eireann carried out an ambitious experiment. For 3 or 4 nights a week over a period of several months, our cameras looked at the streets, the people, and the way of life of a small village in County Offaly. In terms of television coverage, that village must have become unique in Europe, possibly in the whole world, because nowhere else had such a small community been exposed to such exploration on the television screens of a country. Well, in the end, the experiment was probably a failure, but it did serve in many ways as a very useful forerunner for later successes such as the Reardons. Now, 3 years later, we've come back to the village. Has it changed in the meantime, and if so, in what way? Has it recovered from the television siege it underwent 3 years ago? Have new problems arisen for the rural community? This was Shinrone in 1964. Then, as now, a quiet little community in the heart of a rich farming area. Parish population, about 1,500 people. An Irish country village hardly any different at first sight from 1,000 others. Today, the village looks little changed to our returning cameras. Parish population is still around 1,500, and the village itself seems just as we left it. But behind the familiar exterior of this 1967 Shinrone, there have been changes. Some are for the betterment of the village, but others are very clearly the community's loss. 3 years ago, for example, our viewers met this remarkable and much-loved man, the village medical officer, Dr. P.J. Doyle.
How long have you been medical officer here in Shinrone, Doctor?
Oh, I'll be 44 years in December next.
Was this your first
Oh,
appointment?
this first appointment and only one.
I heard a man today describe Shinrone and the area as a health clinic. Is it a healthy place?
It is very healthy. The people are... It's the environment and the way they live is responsible. It is a naturally healthy place.
Do you think hard work has anything to do with it?
It has a good deal. They work hard and they enjoy themselves then when they're not working.
His devoted care to 2 successive generations in Shinrone made P.J. Doyle a legend in his own lifetime. And 2 years ago, a whole village era ended when this quiet, gently humorous village doctor died. Today, a village memorial marks the community's loss. The memory and the legend live on. In any tightly knit village community, the funeral bell is a melancholy reminder of inevitable change as years go by. But to Shinrone, paradoxically, it's a reminder also of an absence of progress. For decades, this village has lacked a suitable burial ground, and mourners must make their sad procession to an unsuitable and almost inaccessible burial ground some miles away. Responding to periodic complaints, the Offaly County Council has tried without success to obtain a suitable local site, and the search continues. Meanwhile, the village dead and their mourners must still take the long road to the cemetery in a distant field. But in the 3 years since our cameras visited Shinrone, some positive improvements have taken place. The new Garda Barracks, for example, is a resplendent eye-catcher which replaces an outworn building in the main street. No village can change fundamentally overnight, and even 3 years is a short time in the life of a rural community. Within the past generation, Shinrone, for its size, has seen a very real transformation. Tomorrow's villagers will see even more. Sometime soon, Shinrone hopes the 80-years-old National School will give way to a more adequate modern building on the site behind it. Of course, progress like this has its own price. Many an Irish village like Shinrone has found its old traditions and ancient crafts disappearing suddenly in the new patterns of life. Nowadays, if you have a horse to be shod, you may have to search hard for a traditional blacksmith. Before long, you may not be able to find one at all, and a sight and sound like this will have disappeared forever. So clear, this craft of yours of blacksmithing seems to be dying out all over the country.
It is, yes.
What's the position? Is anyone apprenticed to you? Is anyone taking up the trade here?
There's no one taking up the trade in Shinrone. Farrier work.
Of course, like most of the smiths, you've gone on to electric welding and this kind of thing.
That's right.
There are no horses around?
Very scarce.
Would there be enough even to teach a lad to shoe horses?
There wouldn't. You'd want at least to be shown a horse, about 5 or 6 horses a day.
Well, what's going to happen? In a few years' time, people aren't going to know this trade, and there's still going to be hunters and the like that'll have to be shod.
It's very hard to answer that question.
What do you think yourself?
Well, I don't see any future.
Whatever the future of traditional crafts, the agricultural emphasis of a village like Shinrone will continue.